So what's the name of this next movie we're doing?
Good Time?
Oh, you mean?
From Television City in Hollywood.
Good time. Anytime you need a payment. Good time. Anytime you need a free. Good time. Anytime you're out from under. Not getting hassled. Not getting hustled. Keeping your head above water.
I love that shit when I was growing up. I need to turn that off before we get a copyright claim.
Well, no, this is
I swear to God, if we get a copyright claim on that.
No, this is Good Time without an S. So it's a singular.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry.
I couldn't not make that joke though. Oh, hey everyone, it's me, Aaron.
And I'm Michelle.
My voice is destroyed after the last Gauntlet of Garbage episode we did, so I'm having to chug down a lot of ginger ale right now, so forgive me. But this is not the Gauntlet of Garbage. This is the other show that we do at the beginning of every single year, The Quest for the Best, the polar opposite of the Gauntlet of Garbage, in which we take a look at the films that people called the best of the year last year, the ones that we didn't already discuss, so there are going to be plenty of these that we discussed all throughout the year when we do our regular reviews. But this is a good discussion about those films that we happen to miss, and this was Good Time. Now, I had heard some really good stuff about this, but I heard that it was different. I guess is the best way to say it.
It's a very indie-ish.
Yeah, it is a super indie film. And here's the thing, I like indie films. This is one of the most indie ones out there. Like, if anybody wants to like just really experience what indie films are like, this is a great one. Because not only does it not have like your typical Hollywood ending, not only does it not have your typical Hollywood characters, it doesn't have your typical Hollywood pacing either.
No, but it's not pretentious either, like Tree of Life.
Yeah, wow, that was a deep pull.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the thing. It's not pretentious.
No.
It doesn't go around like asking you to accept how great it is. It's really trying. Like, you can feel this film really is working at what it's trying to be.
Yeah, it's like, it's not telling you, oh, life is great and amazing. It's like, shit happens in life and there's nothing really you can do about it.
That's what this film, that sums this up perfectly. This is a film in which, as I said, it does not have like typical Hollywood pacing of like first act, second act, third act. It is there, but it's real subtle. But like, this is a film that like, when it ends, it just ends. Because it's one of those things where, by the way, for anybody who's not seen one of these before, we'd go into full spoilers. So, we like this film. I found it to be just very interesting and just something that like you need to experience and just kind of discuss.
Interesting and intense.
But yeah, when this film, before we get into the spoilers, I just wanted to say that, but here we go. Yeah, this film just kind of like goes, oh, you know there's gonna be like some massive conclusion? Nope. Because this entire film is, it's something that happens all in one night, and I love films that take place all in one night. Like Martin Scorsese's After Hours is one of like my favorite films from that time period. Just any of those films, I probably just screwed up the name of that one, mistook it for something else, but I don't care. You know what film I'm talking about. Any of those films that like just all, it's just crazy stuff happening all in one night. I love those films. And I also love films about just really terrible, fucked up people trying to do the right thing or trying to succeed. This is one of those. It's both those things together, and yet I can't really say I love this one, because man, this is some really fucked up people. This one might have even like tested me on this one, and I like 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri.
I feel like now our opinions have swapped because
I've got that feeling, yeah.
Yeah, because it's like, I did not really enjoy 3 Billboards Down, but I really enjoyed this, but I think it might have to do with like, how, like, the intensity, like how, yeah.
I went to go and get a drink at one point during the movie, and does anybody remember that episode of The Simpsons where Marge had a fear of flying, and she watched a whole bunch of movies about plane crashes, and then the kids were like, Dad, you have to do something about Mom, and then it shows her, and she's sitting there on the couch, and he goes, why? She seemed perfectly fine. And then the camera angle changes, and she's like not on the couch, she's like 5 feet in front of the couch, and she's just sitting in midair like that, and he goes, oh. I walked back from getting a drink, and you were kind of like that. You were still on the couch, but you were... And normally, yeah, when we watch a movie, you're laid back, you're relaxing. I mean, even when you're getting into it, you're still leaning back. You were way the fudge out. You were into this thing. And I think, yeah, it had to do with the intensity of this film. This is a film in which you think any moment things are just going to get worse, and they're already bad.
Yeah.
This is a film about Robert Pattinson plays, which by the way, the fucking kid from Twilight does an amazing job in here. I gotta just say that.
It's like Robert Pattinson is actually like a really cool guy. It just sucks that he started his film career in, you know, Twilight. Although technically he started in Harry Potter, but
Yeah.
he was like a very minor actor, minor
he
character.
became a name in Twilight.
Yeah.
This is him. It almost feels like this after Twilight and after doing so many just like really crappy romantic comedies.
Yeah.
Or romantic dramas, I should say. It feels like he was like, no, motherfucker, you get me in touch with those A24 people who do the really crazy indie crap. Get me something in there that shows that I know how to act. I need to get back into this career. Yeah, man, he did it.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I just gotta say, 2017 was the year of British actors doing really damn good American accents. Typically, British actors, when they do American accents, they're good, but I can always spot like the little things in there. Damn. Robert Pattinson sounds like he was bred and born in Queens. Which, that's an interesting thing. This whole film takes place in Queens. Queens is one of those parts of New York that never gets focused on.
Yeah.
Manhattan and Brooklyn and the Bronx always get tons of focus. Even Staten Island occasionally gets some love. Queens never gets anything, and Queens has its own, like, flavor to it.
Yeah, it's like... It's not New York, but there's like enough New York in there, but it's still its own thing.
It is like if New York became a suburb.
Yeah, it's basically, it really is like the outskirts of New York, kind of. It really is like almost like suburban.
Yeah, except that like everybody still got that New York attitude.
Yeah, exactly.
And this film, Robert Pattinson, he's got a brother who has who's mentally handicapped. And it starts off with him, he's in like therapy, and the therapist is like asking him, it's like, okay, we're gonna like do some word association, stuff like this. And his brother is just like, I don't wanna do it. No, okay. Or like his brother is of very few words. Like doesn't wanna like participate in anything, just seems very reserved about everything.
Yeah.
And then like he hears some word association and like he goes, what makes you think of this? Which reminds me of this time. And then he starts like tearing up thinking about this time, and the therapist's like, okay, that's good, let's talk about that. And then his brother comes in, Mark Pattinson's like, what are you doing to my brother here? Why are you making him cry? You're a terrible doctor. That's gone, we're leaving here. It's like, you can't just pick him up and take, no, I can do whatever I want, he's my brother, come on, let's go. And then he takes him to go and rob a bank. And they stand there and they're robbing this bank, and it's not going well, but they do end up getting the money. But then like their getaway driver is like an Uber driver. Like it's something where it's like, these are not criminal masterminds.
No.
Everybody described this film as being like they're idiots, and I was like, they're not idiots. Robert Pattinson is actually way smarter in this film
Like
than I
he's
thought.
very street smart. Like
he can think on his feet.
Yeah,
I'll give him
exactly.
that.
Like he knows how to lie, like that. But like, and the thing is, like his brother is like the complete opposite. It's like because of like his autism or like mental handicap. Like he has trouble telling lies. He has trouble like keeping a straight face. He gets anxious and everything, which is why he was not able to like keep his cool around the cops.
And also he's got like no like human like he's got no people skills. Something because his brother never let him. Like you can tell like his brother never let him like out of his sight. Never let him go and like ever associate with anyone else. Because after they kind of like. After they go, they hide the money in a public bathroom. Not really a public bathroom. They got kicked out of there because they come in covered in like the dye from these from the stolen money. Yeah. Which I remember back when stolen money, they would put like a dye little capsule in there, and when you open the bag, it would blow up in your face. Now apparently there's like a time release gas thing, which is way smarter. Because yeah, it blows up in the car when they're on the way out. So now they have pink cash they can't really do anything with, and they're covered in pink paint. But they still hide the cash in this bathroom when they're trying to like wash up. But then as they're trying to walk away, the cops find them, and Robert Pattinson just leaves his brother behind. Like, he's not even, like, seeing if his brother is, like, behind him. He's just assuming his brother's behind him. His brother runs through a glass window.
Yeah.
And, like, is just taken out. The cops arrest him, take him to jail, and he's in jail, and he gets his ass kicked immediately because he goes into a room where they change the television channel, and he just steals the remote. He's like, I can watch whatever I want. I'm allowed to watch whatever I want. He gets his ass kicked, and it's like, yeah, dude, even with your condition, you should kind of know don't do that in prison, I guess. But it's not his fault. It's very clear that, like, his brother was just like, no, I'm not, no, my brother gets whatever he wants, that's it. His brother, like, never let him go into the real world.
Right, exactly. I mean, like, his brother means well, but he's not doing the right thing.
He's not, yeah. Which that's an interesting thing about this film,
Yeah.
is that he keeps saying it's the grandma that they live with. He keeps saying she's the one who doesn't get. She's the one who isn't taking care of him. She's the one who's not doing well. She's putting him in all these classes, and he doesn't want to be in these classes. These classes are not good for him. But it's like, yeah, but you're a criminal and an asshole and dumb. You're not good for him in this.
And it's like, here's the thing, it's like, I could tell, like, it's obvious, like, his brother doesn't want to do class, that's fine, but sometimes we need to do things we don't like in order to improve ourselves.
That's it, yeah, it's like, yeah, his brother doesn't want to go to these classes, but it's like, you have to go to the classes, man. So yeah, he's not forced, he's taking him out of these classes where his grandma's trying to help. And the only time you really see the grandma is at one point on the news.
Yeah.
They do mention that this guy, he's wanted, and everyone's on the look for him, and then they interview the grandma, and it's very quick, but she's like, he's always so bad to his brother, and he's not taking care of his brother. He's a bad influence on his brother. It's like, that's the only time you see the grandma, and throughout this whole thing, you've been hearing his side of it.
Yeah.
But in that moment, you're just like, that was kind of when I stopped and thought, maybe this is the only time we've actually seen her. She seems more like what we've been saying, that's like, maybe she's just the one who's actually trying to take care of the brother, and it just doesn't look like she's helping, because sometimes that's what help actually looks like. And Robert Pattinson is just like, no, screw that. He's not happy with this. He's gonna come and rob banks with me. But I mean, that's the thing. In the beginning of this, like, you know he's an asshole, because in the beginning of this, you don't even know why they need the money. I mean, you think it's so they can move out of the house?
Yeah, like, that's what I thought, because, like, I thought, like, because they didn't like their grandmother, but they had no place to go because they didn't have the cash.
Yeah. But you never really get any idea for it. And like, he already had like mask, he had like everything planned. It's like, he's definitely already involved in shady shit. He's definitely already done bad stuff. But from there, after his brother gets his ass kicked, he goes to, he basically gets this woman who knows him to basically steal her mom's credit card to try and pay his bond, which is $10,000. And so they can get him out of jail, his brother out of jail. And then like the card bounces, they can't use it. And then they can't find his brother in jail. It's like, oh, he's been transferred to the hospital because he got beat up. So then Robert Pattinson goes to the hospital, and he just waits around, like he waits around in like some random lady's room, which, yeah, this is a dirty film. And I don't mean dirty in like, you know, it looks like everything got slathered in mud like a Rob Zombie film. I mean dirty as in like, this is not a film where everybody is the beautiful, good-looking people.
No.
This is not a film in which everything looks nice and clean. We watched Big Sick a few days ago, and it's like, yeah, that takes place largely in a hospital, but it's a Hollywood hospital where all the medical staff, they're all there, they're all professional, they're all doing the right thing. They all have all the information that you want. Everything is clean. This, when they're in that hospital, I'm like, that's a real hospital. I've been in lots of hospitals at like midnight when no one wants to be there, and the only people there are people who are in really bad shape. This is what it feels like. You're capturing that. And he's just like waiting in this old lady's room, and it's not some like old lady who they put lots of makeup on to look like Hollywood acceptable sick old lady. It's like, no, it looks like she's dying.
Yeah.
And he's just sitting there like, and she has no idea who this stranger is in her room eating her food. Yeah, like he feeds her some food while he's waiting, then he eats the food too. Like, God, you piece of shit. You're stealing from this sick old lady. And then when the cop gets up to go coffee break,
then
he sneaks into the room.
No, he takes her wheelchair.
Oh, I forgot that.
Yeah, like, because, like, you know, his brother's like immobilized, like still unconscious from the fight. So he like takes the wheelchair, like picks up his brother, like puts him in the wheelchair, and then like escorts him out, and like tries to do it as quickly as he can before the police, you know, goes back on duty. And you know, he goes onto this, you know, like, you know, it's one of
those service wagons,
yeah,
which are basically like for anybody who are wheelchair bound or like physically handicapped, physically disabled, I guess I should say. They're like services that pick them up and drive them around, basically. Yeah, which by the way, not to spoil the twist that's about to come up in this thing, but we keep pointing that Robert Pattinson, not the brightest guy around, he can lie really damn well when he needs to, but he's not smart at thinking things out.
Yeah.
His brother is like twice his size, like taller than him, way bigger than him. He goes up to his brother in this room and picks him up and moves him onto the chair. I was like, you probably should have realized something was up at this moment.
Yeah, but I understand, but at the same time, it's like, I don't want to walk in and, like, ask where my brother is because they're both wanted for crimes. So it's like, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's the thing. He lies his way into, like, trying to find out.
exactly.
Yeah. But, yeah, what he does is he goes up to an orderly at the hospital in, like, the cafeteria and goes, hey, man, what's with all the cops? There's cops all over my dad's room. I'm trying to stay with my dad, but there are cops all over the place. Like, what room is your dad on? 5th floor. They're supposed to be on the 6th floor. 6th floor, all right. And then he goes up there. Like, that's how he finds out where the cops are.
It's like, they're on the 5th floor when they're supposed to be on the 6th? That's bullshit. And just walks off and goes to the 6th floor where the cops are because he knows.
Yep, that's where they are. Apparently, there were multiple cops at this place. Yes, the big thing is he then takes them, gets him on this like little service wagon, and then he's like, oh, was that your last stop for the night? Oh man, I called ahead. I don't know why they didn't tell you, but yeah, man, we called ahead. We're only 2 blocks ahead from here. We're just 2 blocks. He's like, all right, fine, I'll take you 2 more blocks. Takes him 2 more blocks. He gets off. Then he goes back to the house of the last lady who was on this little service bus. And goes, yeah, you met me on the bus. Listen, my mom isn't home right now, and I don't have the keys to the place. She already left for work. Can I come in? My brother, he's freezing out here, so she lets him come in. And then she decides to let him, like, stay the night, like, gives the brother a room. And now he's just in this stranger's house.
Yeah.
And again, it's like, man, real world kind of stuff. Like, because this feels like, yeah, I just walked into a total stranger's house. Like, telling the little girl who's there, the 16-year-old girl, is like, yeah, your mom, you know, she's letting me stay. I was like, hey, my mom, that's my grandma. I don't care what she tells you to do. I don't care about her at all. She's always so mean. And I was like, man, just getting thrown right smack dab in the middle of all these people's drama. And he's there, and he's just nuts, because he finds hair dye, like her hair dye in there, dyes his own hair so that way the cops can't recognize him. And when the girl finds out he did this, like, why did you dye your hair? It's like, I don't know, I'm just crazy sometimes. It's like,
oh, those crazy white people.
Kind of does have that tone of,
yeah,
like,
it does.
I'm just quirky. But man, yeah, this is a dirty ass film, because like we established that this girl is 16 years old. But when they're sitting there watching the news together, and then it comes out and it's like, this person is currently wanted for trying to rob a bank, he then just starts making out with the 16-year-old. And it's gross, but it's not gross in the way that Book of Henry was that we reviewed a couple nights ago, in which it was like, you're supposed to kind of look at that and be like, oh man, what's this thing that's happening here with Henry right now? You're supposed to look at it and go, that's fucking disgusting. But you know these people are fucking disgusting. You know they're terrible people. This is just them coming in here and going, look at how fucking terrible this guy is. Look at what a piece of crap this guy is. That's what it's supposed to do, and mission accomplished. So it gets really disturbing in that moment, but again, it's in that way that's like, yeah, this guy is supposed to be a monster, and he's a monster. Then his brother wakes up. It ain't his brother. He picked up the wrong guy, the wrong criminal who had been beaten up and taken to this place. And this guy is freaking out because, yeah, he doesn't know where he is. And it's so shocking and so jarring. Both of us were looking at this like, is that his brother?
And it's like, the way he was talking was not the same.
Yeah.
And I noticed that. It's like, did they do something to him in the hospital? Or?
Yeah, because it's just, you're not expecting this twist.
Yeah. And it's like, his face is all bandaged up.
It's bandaged up. We should point that out.
Yes, yes. So we didn't get a good look at him or anything. And like Robert Pattinson said, it's cold out. So of course he put his coat on, so he couldn't like really see what his body looked like either.
But he is like a very skinny dude, and that's why it's like, yeah, Robert Pattinson should be able to tell that when he picked him up. But at the same time, I get that he was just like, fuck it, just go, man, just go. That's all Robert Pattinson's mentality is in this film. It's just, go, 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 go. Do this thing, do this thing, do this thing. Get it on, get it on. So he goes, gets this guy, and now this guy is freaking the fuck out, trying to attack Robert Pattinson. Robert Pattinson is holding him down. They steal some Oxycontin from like the medicine cabinet to give him for the pain relievers, because yeah, this guy is all cut up. And this guy is a fast-talking sleazebag. Like, they pile him into this car along with the 16-year-old, and they go off to try and go back to the hospital, and the guy's like, I ain't going back to the hospital, I'm wanted for crimes, I'm not going back there.
I don't want to go back to jail.
Yeah, so he takes him to the White Castle across the street, and they're just over there, and the guy goes, man, what was I supposed to do? I get out of jail and they drop me off right in front of a liquor store. What the heck am I supposed to do? But then he goes in this long-ass backstory of how he got to the hospital. And it is such a detailed backstory involving like friends of his, like hooking him up with drugs, like all the partying he did, all the plans that he did, like everything. Like it's a solid like 5-minute backstory sequence of like just flashbacks telling everything that happened leading up to him being in the hospital. It's like, you thought out a backstory that rich for this character who didn't get introduced until halfway through the film as a twist. But he says that part of this is that his drug dealing friends put some acid in a Sprite bottle and they took it to this theme park and they were going to then...
Oh, and then like he took the acid and like well they were and he took acid and they were like selling acid at like this arcade
at
and
the
then
theme
like
park, yeah.
Yeah, and, no, not before the theme park.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so and then at the like one of their friends came up as like, yo, I just stole all this money and we're gonna be and yeah, you didn't.
I did, yeah. There a lot happened in this backstory.
Yeah, and then like
I'm forgetting parts of it.
Yeah, and it's like they're like, dude, why did you steal all this money? We're gonna get caught. And then the cops come in, so they run out of the arcade and into the theme park where they hide the money, and that's why Robert Pattinson's so interested in like going back there. He wants the money.
Right. Yeah.
But when that plan falls apart, he decides to get the acid instead and try and sell it.
Yeah. The guy who gets introduced in here, the guy who they get from the hospital, he is basically here to be the dumber version of Robert Pattinson's character. Like, he's a guy who's doing some really shady, terrible criminal crap, but he's not good at any of it.
No.
At all. Like, day one out of prison, he goes and gets hammered and shit-faced and does all these drugs, and his friend then just steals money and they're instantly on the run from the cops, like day one out of prison. And so then, yeah, they go back there to try and like get this, get the money, but they can't find it. So then they find like the Sprite bottle with the acid inside. So Robert Pattinson decides, all right, screw it, we'll sell it. And then he tries to get this guy. They steal, by the way, they knock out the security guard and then pour some of the acid into his mouth so that when he wakes up, he's just freaking out and can't tell the cops anything. And they dress up as a security guard and say, yeah, that's the guy who jumped in here. That's the guy who was trying to break in. So they get the security guard arrested and taken to the hospital while he's tripping. And
like they take his ID and everything and they hide out at the security guy's place.
Yeah.
Until like, you know, like
until the sun starts to come up, until then like this guy's able to get his connection to come in and he's willing to buy the acid. And he tells him, no man, I need this much money. Which he needed 10,000 to get his brother out of there, but now he's telling this guy, get me 19,000?
Or is it 15,000?
15,000 or something like that. It's like more than what he needed to get his brother out. And I was just like, why do you need the extra money?
It's like maybe he's trying to like bail him out and get away from there.
Maybe, I guess, yeah.
Like,
maybe he's just trying to get as much as he possibly can, I guess. But yeah, so now he's just trying to get this guy, and then the guy says, fine, I'm gonna come back with the 15,000, and then he leaves, and then Robert Pattinson's like, this is taking too long, this is taking too long. Like, he wants his brother out of prison now.
Yeah, like the guy said, I'll be back in 3 hours, and you know, the guy who was on acid, like, he tells Robert Pattinson, just wait here, but he doesn't want to wait.
He doesn't want to wait, he wants to get his brother out now. He does not want his brother to be in jail for 3 more hours, he wants to get him out now. So he decided, screw it, I'm gonna go out there, I'm just gonna sell it on the street. And I'm like, that's fucking dumb. Like, you have a, like, it's going to work out if you just chill the fuck out for 3 more hours. He goes outside, and then the cops immediately spot him, and then they catch him. And that's how this movie ends. Well, there's still more. There's still more.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, the guy who was on acid starts freaking out, and he like climbs out the window.
By the way, we should point out, this guy is not actually on acid.
No, but like the who was on acid is
the guy, his brother, the guy who he picked up at the hospital.
The fake brother.
Yeah. That guy then sees Robert Pattinson drop the ball of acid, and then he's like, okay, fuck, I'm gonna get it. And rather than going out the front door, he decides to try and go out the window when there's no fire escape. And then as Robert Pattinson is being tackled by the cops and like then pulled into a police car, they look up and he's like, "Oh my God, he's going to!" And then yeah, he slips and he falls.
Yeah.
And just falls to his death. And it's like,
yeah, just.
well, there goes that guy who we just met,
Like,
and Robert
it's
Pattinson.
like, well, shit, man. I mean, because like.
And it's like, okay, well now what's going to happen to Robert Pattinson? Nothing. He goes to jail. That's it. End of story for him.
It's like they just like do like a close up on his face while he's in the back of the police car, and then it like cuts to his brother who's going back to like
therapy.
Yeah.
Yeah, like his brother got out of jail because of this, and he goes into a group therapy. And his grandma was there. His grandma took him to this group therapy, and he's now in this group therapy for other people with special needs. And the person running it, like everybody's there, like, "Oh hi," like everybody's welcoming him, and he's just sitting there the whole time. Like, he just really does not want to be there. Just like, he's just, that's the look he has throughout the entire film. Like, I don't like any of this. I'm not happy about any of this. And then they tell him, like, okay, we're going to play a game in which it's called Cross the Room. Gonna divide you up in two parts of the room. If you've ever done this thing, you cross the room. They just start listing off things that they've done. And that goes throughout the entire ending credits. The ending credits are rolling as they're going, okay, if you've ever done this, cross the room. And at first he doesn't move. And then finally he just starts moving from one side to the next. But he still has that, like, I'm not happy look. It's like, But then at the very end, like, as the credits are done, a very slight smile starts to form on his face. And it kind of like, I discussed this with a coworker who came by the store last night. And he loved that film. This is actually in his top 10 of the year. And we were discussing, like, one of the most brilliant things about this film is you don't know how you're supposed to feel. Because if his face hadn't changed at all there at the end, you'd be like, man, he really isn't happy at this, and maybe this isn't going to work for him. But if his smile had been bigger, it's been like, everything's gonna be okay. The smile was, the change in face, I shouldn't even say smile, but the change in face was just enough that it's like, was that him starting to be okay with this?
And I think that's like the perfect like mood that like the ending that this movie's trying to make.
They had to have filmed that like 12 times to be able to get like, not even that, like dozens and dozens of times to be able to get like the perfect like amount of. Yeah,
it's like things are not going to be perfect, but they are going to get better. That's basically like the message you get from this ending. Yeah,
it's one of those words like, again, like we said, his brother really was not good for him. He was not helping him. And he isn't happy here. He doesn't like doing this. But it can lead to him being happier because it's the thing you have to work at. Like, self-improvement is never instant. It's something you have to work at. And this film, it still lets you like have that thought in your head, well, is he going to get better? Like, aren't things going to be okay for him? But it shows you just enough to make you think, yeah, you know what? I think it is. It's one of those great endings that like are going to be up for debate of like what it means. I choose to take it as he's getting better.
Yeah.
As like, this is good for him, and it's good that his brother is out of his life.
Right.
In any other film, Robert Pattinson would be the villain in this.
But because
he's the protagonist.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's basically, the movie is basically from like the bad guy's perspective.
Yeah.
And it's like, I feel like the ending is about like acceptance. It's like, basically, it's like I have to like his brother accepting that that he should go to these classes, and like you said, it's about self-help. And you know, it's like in order to be a better person, you have to do things. I mean, like you said, Robert Pattinson pretty much did everything for his brother. His brother didn't have to.
He wouldn't let him do anything.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like you need to like do things on your own. You need to learn how to do things on your own to be a better person.
Well, also you need to go to places that can help you with this.
Right.
And sometimes that's not going to be fun.
No.
It's not going to be exciting. Sometimes it's going to be painful. Sometimes it's going to be uncomfortable, but you gotta do it.
You gotta keep at it.
Yeah. But also you say it's about acceptance. I kind of feel like the close-up on Robert Pattinson's face in the police car there at the end, it's kind of also acceptance, but acceptance not in terms of like, you know what, this is for the better. Acceptance in terms of, I can't do anything else.
Yeah, it's like
I have lied and scammed and schemed.
I have screwed up too many times.
And this is it. I can't get away from this.
It's like, I actually like enjoyed the cinematography. Like,
Oh, it's gorgeous.
yeah, I mean, it's like I said, it's a very intense movie, and you can feel that intensity just from like the close-ups.
There's a lot of good close-ups in
Yeah.
here.
And it's like, and whenever there isn't a close-up, it feels like you're watching like a police chase on TV. Like whenever you see like the car go down the.
Oh, the moment when they're actually watching Robert Pattinson getting arrested, and from the point of view of the guy who's on like the 12th floor, on like the 10th floor or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it feels like one of those police chases that you see on like handheld camera. And it's like, yeah, it just shows him running. It doesn't do a lot of like close-ups and like try and get intense. It is like, that's one of the things that makes that such an odd moment, because this film is so intense with a lot of its shots, and the way that he gets caught, it's they set it up early on in which they have him watching Cops, and they see all the crazy stuff going on Cops. It looks like an episode of Cops, in which it's just like, nah, man, this is just how it happens. You just got busted. There is no, like, this is not your Hollywood moment of I'm going to have my intense chase scene and get out here as music is swelling. No music, no nothing. You got caught because you fucked up too many times. So yeah, it's also the music. We should talk about that. This has like a very 80s kind of like synthesizer tone to it.
Which adds to the intensity.
It does, because that like like that does get your heart racing. It does add to the intensity of this thing. But even when there's no music playing, like when there's no music playing, it can add to the like awkwardness and uncomfortableness. It's like when he's in this total stranger's house, and again, like the way that's shot, it makes you feel claustrophobic. Like I am surrounded by stuff I don't know. Yeah, and I don't know what's going on here. Yeah, it's a very, again, this isn't going to be in my top 10, but man, is it a fascinating film.
So will it get like an honorable mention?
I think I'll give it an honorable mention because it is probably my most interesting film of the year. It's one of those films that's like, I do feel like people need to watch this just to kind of like study it almost, just to not only like from a filmmaking point of view of like how it's done, but also just in terms of the way that it decides to tell its story. The way that it kind of captures this feeling of, hey man, sometimes it's just how things work out.
And you mentioned like the music, and then like and that's a good point, because like all these like 80s synthesized, but then like at the very end when his brother is in therapy, there's like, you know, that's I forget the name of the song, but it's like a very like bittersweet song.
It's a super bittersweet like country song of like one of those where one guy is just talking.
Like very Johnny Cash.
Like it's very Johnny Cash's, yes.
Yeah. And it's like, that sets the mood up perfectly for the ending. Like,
yeah, because it's a sad sounding song, but it's kind of a song about, hey man, just the way things are. And it's like, yeah, alright, just kind of have to deal with it, man. Yeah, it does really capture that perfectly. Man, yeah, again, I think the only reason why it's not making my top 10 is because I couldn't really get into it no matter how intense it was, because I was just so fascinated by it. I was looking at it more objectively the whole time rather than being immersed. But also, I do like films about assholes. These guys might be too assholish for me.
I don't know, I kind of felt like the people in the Three Billboards Down were bigger assholes, like especially the police.
They definitely are. But I like the gray in that film more, because that's a film where the nice people do shitty things and the shitty people do nice things. I mean, you look at that and you think that Woody Harrelson is going to be a complete sack of shit in that film. And then it turns out like he's not that much of a sack of shit. Like he does do some bad things, but then he's also kind of a good guy in many ways. Hell, even the worst character in that entire film has a really good arc at the end, but then the most sympathetic character in the beginning of the film does really shitty stuff later on in that film. But also the thing that made that work for me, as opposed to this film, is that this film is way more realistic, which is what makes it so uncomfortable.
Oh.
That film, Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, everybody is super witty. Everybody is really witty. Everybody is really funny in that film. I was listening to a review of it earlier today, and people were cracking up at just the clips they had. Like, yeah, it's got real, like, you can play a clip and just crack up at it. This film is really, like, it is heavy. it just weighs on you.
It's like, I don't know, maybe I like it because it feels more realistic.
I think that's what the difference is. I think we're both seeing the same film here, just this is why it appeals more to you, and this is why it, like, wasn't as, it was more just fascinating to me rather than entertaining, I guess. And entertaining doesn't always mean like fun, happy, upbeat. Entertaining means like you're just enjoying it.
Yeah, like really caught it, really into it.
Yeah, it was just hard for me to enjoy this because I was just so busy like, like just like.
It's like you were like this, and I was like.
That, yeah. There's our rating system. I give it 5. So yeah, definitely worth checking out though. I really think that this is a very fascinating film. And I think it's one that a lot of people missed.
Yeah.
So yeah, make sure that you check that out. Let us know what you thought in the comments down below. Remember, we are checking out all these films that people call the best of the year all month long, and also the films that everybody called the worst of the year all month long. So if you want to see both of those marathons we're doing, make sure you click that subscribe button. And at the end of this month, we're going to conclude all with my best of 2017 list and my worst of 2017 list. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Come back next time.
Bye.